Hey beautiful child of God, it's Jasmine and welcome to my channel Stay Classy by Jazzy. Today I thought it would be really fun if I sat down and talked to you about my college journey, just my story about how I came into college as an undeclared major, having absolutely no clue, or really coming in with so many options for what I wanted to do and not knowing what I wanted to do, to being a senior, a graduating senior, and right now with a major and 2 minors. And I just want to sit down and tell you about my whole story. I thought it would be really helpful for some people to kind of listen to what college is like, and even though it's my own story, you might have some similarities. And I just want to remind you before I get started that college is a journey, it is a process, and you have the freedom to change your mind, especially with a career major, at any point that you want to. I changed my major as a junior, and I'll get more into that. So I know a lot of people who come to college, including myself, came in with this idea that at age 18 I need to know what I want to do for the rest of my life, and you're in for a rude awakening just like I am, and that you're gonna learn so much more about yourself, you're gonna explore so much about yourself, and that's really what my story is about. So without further ado, let's get started. So I do want to say this setup is inspired by Jasmine from Face of a Matter. If you watch her channel, love her channel, her aesthetics, so good. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna bring out my podcast microphone and I'm going to have some type of a cute setup, minus my bed. But I have notes on my phone I'll be referring to. But we're gonna start off year, okay, by each year. So the first year is freshman year, and my first bullet point, which I briefly mentioned in the intro, is that I came in as an undeclared major. Now that was huge for me because I'm such a planner, I'm such a type A person, and I felt like when I came to college I would know exactly what I want to do. I would know what kind of career I wanted and what major that would get me to that career. And to enter college not knowing exactly what I wanted to do, it was terrifying, okay? I felt like those around me, my friends and just people I'm not going to college with, I felt like they knew what they wanted to do, and I felt like I was behind, and it was just it was a whole mind game. In my head I was like, okay, I made it to college, I applied, I got accepted, I accepted the offer, I'm here, but what in the world am I doing? And to be real with you, like, this is my story, I had many nights where I would cry as I was praying to God, like, God, why am I here? What am I supposed to do? I have no clue what major I want to go for. I know I'm just focusing my gen ed classes, but at some point I'm gonna run out of gen ed classes to take. What am I gonna do, right? And there were moments where I just cried myself to sleep because I was like, I'm stressed, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I just can't come to college. Like, I never envisioned myself coming to college without a plan. That it was just, I don't want this to come off as like a very negative experience. My college experience has been really great. I just want to be open and honest that I was excited about college, but I also was nervous because of the undeclared part. However, I did get a chance to focus on my gen eds, which really played off in my favor, especially junior year, which I'll get into. But I just talked to a lot of faculty members, and I just talked to a lot of people and just got to learn about their stories and what they wanted to major in. And I ended up initially wanted to be an elementary school teacher because I've had a lot of experience working with children. In general, I love working with kids. They are so fun. They tell you, they're honest. They'll tell you how it is. I wasn't settled on that or sold on that idea, so I declared education as my minor, because here at Belmont in the education department, there's a program called 4+1, and basically you can major in any kind of major and then have education as your minor. So you will graduate with that major you choose and then the minor of education, and you'll come back for an additional year where you'll get work for your master's in education. So like in 5 years you will get your bachelor's and your master's in education. I was like, bet, that sounds good. So that's kind of like my route I went on in terms of like undeclared, focusing on my gen eds, getting those out the way. Along those lines of freshman year, I also lived with a roommate for the first time. So my little sister was my roommate growing up, but at a certain point we ended up going to our own separate bedrooms and stayed that way. So I've always been, for a long time, like having my own space and getting used to it. So going from having my own space for several years to now sharing space with somebody again, it wasn't that difficult, but it definitely took some adjusting, to be honest. I will say I'm very grateful and very blessed to have had an old friend from middle school as my roommate. That was just God. That was all God. That was divine intervention, because I've heard horror stories about people being with roommates and it's just not a good situation, and I'm just grateful that I knew her prior, even though we had lost connection for a long time. But like, she wasn't like a complete stranger, and we got along pretty well. one of the things I will say is I'm a night owl. So she would go to bed before I did, and I did get annoyed at some points early on. I'm like, oh, I just want to stay in the room and do my homework. But luckily my dorm had a study room, so when she went to bed, I respected that. And I went to the study room and studied until like 11, 12 o'clock in the morning, whatever. But overall, we basically got along well. We never butt heads, really. We communicated the best we can. We basically had our own friend groups outside of each other. We did something our freshman year where we ate Chick-fil-A as our first dinner together as college students, and then the very end of our freshman year we ate Chick-fil-A again, and we Snapchatted, so it was really fun. I have a whole video about tips about living with a roommate, and it actually features like a little FaceTime video with her, so if you want to check that out and get more specific tips, I'll share it up above somewhere. Along the lines of making friends is just like friendships in general, so friendships outside of my roommate. And I watched a lot of videos before I came to college, and a lot of people were saying don't feel like you have to make friends your first semester or your first year. It takes time. Most people don't find their core group of friends until like sophomore year or so on. So I came in with that mentality. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna put pressure on myself. I'm gonna meet people here and there, even though I'm like an introvert and I don't like initiating. But I'll meet people, my classes, whatever. I'll let it do its thing. Wasn't expecting to find my core group of friends my freshman year, really. God said, psych. I ended up meeting people, like generally my core group of friends, and I can say that with confidence now because we're still friends now as seniors. I had met one person during orientation over the summer before school started, and then through her I met several other people that became like our core group, friend group. So really it was like that one person that like sparked other friendships, and we all became close knit. And then I also met another person and her roommate towards the beginning of freshman year as well, and we kind of stayed close knit to this day too. I kid you not, I think the thing that really kept us close was that we ate basically lunch and dinner together every single day. We'd be like in the group chat, who wants to grab dinner? Who wants to get lunch? All this stuff. So I believe that was one of the main reasons why we gelled so well together, and like we're able to stay close because we built those friendships early on and consistently. And then the second semester of my freshman year, I started my YouTube channel, the one you're watching right now. I had a blog initially. It was called stayclassybyjazzy, and I had started that my second semester of senior year in high school. And I was continuing it for a couple months, maybe like 6, 7, 8 months, and then I was like, I don't know if I like it anymore. And then this YouTube channel was born. I'm on year 4 of YouTube right now currently. So that was huge because that jump started and opened a bunch of opportunities that I'll briefly mention again later on, like sophomore, junior, senior year, where I'm at right now. That's that. And then the last big thing that I can remember, there's so much that happened in my freshman year. There's so much that's happened in my years here at Belmont that I can't capture all in one video. But the last big thing was that I ended up applying to be an RA. And that's huge because that was my job in college. This is my job. I'm still in RA year 3. And my current RA at the time as a freshman, she slipped a brochure underneath my door and basically was like, hey, I think you'd be a great RA, and walked me through the process. I went through it, became an RA, and the rest is history. I actually have a video dedicated to sharing my whole experience and story about becoming an RA. I'll share that up there above too. I've made a lot of videos, okay? I do have a lesson point. This is one of the lessons that I took away from my freshman year, and each year I'll have a lesson point. So my lesson from freshman year is I wish, if I can go back in time, I wish that I would have ventured out of my dorm room more and explored like Nashville. I am a homebody, I still am, but I really was freshman year because I'm in a new environment. I'm still meeting people. My dorm room was comfortable. That's where I did my editing and filming of YouTube videos and all that stuff. It was like my safe space on campus, and I wish that I would have ventured out more and just kind of explored 12 South more, which is like right outside Belmont's campus, or maybe went downtown or tried more restaurants or went more places with people. I just kind of stayed on campus because it felt safe, and I didn't get out of my comfort zone much my freshman year. So looking back now, I wish I had done those things. All right, so that was freshman year, and now we're moving on to sophomore year. And my first bullet point is that this is my first year as an RA, and I say that because this is huge. Again, it's my first like campus job. It's a very involved job. I live on campus, I work where I live, and I just navigated that. I remember being so nervous being an RA because I didn't feel like I was ready. This wasn't really something that I wanted to do. I just felt like, okay, God's calling me to this position. Why? I got a chance to live in a single dorm, so I still live in a single dorm. That's been a blessing, being able to go from living with a roommate and then having my own space. And that goes into my second point too as well, like learning how to be independent, being able to control the air in the room, being able to use the shower in the bathroom however long I need to or whenever I need to. That's been really nice. Decorating the space however I want it. It's just been really cool to kind of figure out who's Jasmine and what's her style and like what's my rhythm for my life and how do I want to take care of myself. That's been really important. As an RA, I also am in charge of residents, so I got a chance to learn about what it means to create community, because that was one of the things I missed my freshman year was community. I did find that in the Black Student Association on campus at Belmont, so that has been really helpful. I also found that somewhat on the Broom Recruiters as well at Belmont, and different clubs, Delight Ministries, which is like a college women's ministry, found that there freshman year as well. I didn't mention that, but yes. But being the person who's creating the community, being in charge of, not really in charge, but having a group of residents that you mentor and look after, that was just a very big responsibility, and it just matured me in many ways, and it gave me the community that I was missing my freshman year. So that to me is like, make sure you put yourself out there and like be open to opportunities where you can meet people and find your people on campus, okay? Because freshman year, I also didn't mention this, but I did consider transferring from Belmont just because I didn't feel like I was fitting in. I didn't know if I could see myself staying here, but of course I didn't transfer. I'm still here. So there's a lot of things go on your freshman year that you're just toiling around with the idea of stuff like, should I stay here? Did I make the right decision? You're constantly questioning your decision about what college you're going to and how you're fitting in. Also, my sophomore year, I finally declared a major. It was psychology, emphasis on was psychology. We'll get into that junior year. And I kept my education minor. And I did that because I was like, okay, originally, like I said, I wanted to be an elementary school teacher. And then I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to be a teacher anymore. And I talked to my boss at the time, and he was like, you know what? Speech pathology is a really cool track. You should try it out. So I did some job shadowing here and there. And I chose psychology to go with education because Belmont doesn't have a specific speech pathology major. And I did not want to transfer at that point. I felt like I had found my core group of friends, that I felt comfortable in the school after not sure if I wanted to stay. So I was like, that would be the best thing for me to like stay at Belmont by doing psych and education. It was cool until it wasn't cool, but just not bad. I'm saying like changing majors. All right, I'll get into that. The next big thing was I was celebrating 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So in less than a year, within the same year I started my channel, I had like transitioned from being a freshman to a sophomore in college, and around September? I think September, I had hit 1,000 subscribers. One of my videos just went bonkers, and it grew. I grew like 500 subscribers in a month or two. And my friends surprised me with a 1K surprise party. It was the sweetest thing. I have a highlight on my Instagram, so you can check it out. They like made videos on Instagram. They surprised me with cake and cheer. It was like the sweetest thing I've ever experienced in my life and college in general, and I will never forget that. It was a huge milestone. So that is something that I will never forget, and it was super special as a sophomore. Next thing on my list is, actually, I do not endorse this. I am someone who I despise missing class. I can't, like, it gives me so much stress thinking about missing class and getting behind. I cannot stand getting behind. But sophomore year, I did skip class once. I don't ever skip class, but I skipped class once, I remember. And I bring this up because I woke up one morning and just was in a panic. I don't know if I want to call it a panic. Like, it wasn't a panic attack or anxiety or anything, but I woke up in a sense of panic that I couldn't shake. And I just remember feeling like things were out of control. And I emailed my professor. I said, you know what? I can't come to class today. I need to work on these other things because I just know I won't be present in class the way I need to. And luckily the professor was understanding, and we have a certain number of classes that you can meet without, messing up your grade, your attendance. So I took that, and that was the first time I realized like your mental health is really important in college. There's so much going on in college, and there's so many opportunities, but at a certain point you got to slow down, and if you don't slow down yourself, your body and your mind will make you slow down. And that was a moment where I was like, you know what, my mental health comes first today and I need to put myself first. So I bring that up only because of that. Not to be like, shame on you if you miss class, but like try to not miss class so you won't get behind. Overall, the lesson from sophomore year is to trust God in the uncertainty. Again, I was becoming an RA for the first time. I was just navigating a new major and a new career path, and just a lot of uncertainty my sophomore year, and just trying to, like, I was comfortable now because I've had 1 year of college behind me, but I also was navigating like a new type of school year and so much, and I just really had to lean into God during that time. My faith is huge for me, and it really developed during that time. All right, so now we're on to junior year. Junior year has a lot. So junior year, the first thing on my list is that I became an RA again. So it's called a return. I returned to the RA position, and it wasn't really a hard decision. I liked the role, and I could see myself fulfilling it again. So I said yes, and became RA again, got a new group of girls, residents, and you know, I felt a little better now that I have a year of being an RA underneath my back. So that's kind of that with the RA role. Secondly, I learned how to maintain friendships. Like, it's not enough to create friendships. The hard part is maintaining them, especially when people are busy. My junior year, and I'll get into this because I have this as a bullet point, but my junior year, I overcommitted myself. I have a whole episode on my podcast about that too. I'll put it here and down below in the description box. My friends and I were all collectively more busy. We had established ourselves more into our respective departments and majors, and people were getting jobs and people were living off campus. We were just realizing that, like, this is not freshman year anymore, this is not sophomore year anymore, like, we're all busy and we have to make time for each other because our schedules are just jam-packed. So I didn't get to see my friends as much as we used to, and you know, maintaining friendships are not easy. Maintaining friendships take intentionality and time and effort. And if you're not willing to put that in, and not just you, but if your friends, it's like a reciprocal thing. If you don't put in that effort and they don't put forth that effort, your friendship can easily just go to the wind side. And then you realize, oh, it's been a year or two and I haven't talked to them yet. And now you're playing the whole hey stranger game. So I really learned about what it looks like to maintain a friendship. Moving on to what I mentioned earlier about overcommitting yourself. Junior year Jasmine. I was doing the thing, but the thing was tiring me, okay? Second year as RA, YouTube channel, I babysat like several families. I was doing social media for my church. I was doing social media for the Black Student Association on campus. I was doing social media for my dorm. I was working as a broom recruiter for Belmont. Like, I was doing a lot. I don't want to sit here and be like wearing this as a badge of honor. Like, I've been busy and it's great. Like, no. I realized I had said yes to a lot of things because I didn't want to miss out on some opportunities, and it cost me. It cost me my, like, I remember vividly always complaining about being tired and like not feeling like I was resting well. And I just remember being I was so busy. Like, I would go, like, oh, I don't know how to explain it. It was like from the moment I would wake up in the day to the moment I lay my head down at night, I was go busy. Like, rarely gave myself time to like rest and pause. And my mind was always racing about what's to do next. And I learned my lesson the hard way. I ended up developing heart palpitations because of the stress that I was putting myself under, and it just wasn't good. It wasn't good. So looking back now, I realized that I'm glad I had the opportunities to work for so many amazing organizations on campus, for my church, but I also realize now, like, I didn't set boundaries and it wasn't good. I need to set boundaries. I needed to set boundaries at that point, and I'm still in the midst of setting boundaries now and really sticking to them, because even when I did set boundaries, I didn't really stick to them. Another really huge thing that happened my junior year was that I changed my major. So like I told you, sophomore year, I declared it as psychology and education, and I was like for sure certain that I was gonna go to grad school for speech pathology. I thought I was. However, I had a meeting with my RD, my resident director, which is my boss as an RA, a resident assistant, and I sat down. She could tell I had a lot on my mind. We have like meetings, one-on-one meetings every week, and I sat down, talked to her, wrote down everything that was on my mind, realized in that meeting that I did not want to be a speech pathologist. And I finally admitted it to myself after feeling it deep down in my heart. And that led me to be like, okay, I'm in the wrong major. I need to change my major. What am I gonna do now? And my plan did a whole flip, like a whole 360, like it's not the same. I remember vividly turning in my paper and leaving the office after having declared my new major. And I want it so badly, because for me, when change is scary to me, I want it so badly to like regret my decision. But I kid you not, I was so full of joy and peace with the decision. And I remember it was sunny outside, I was smiling, and I was just like, I did it. I changed my major, and I feel good about the decision. Like, you know, when like God's in the midst of a decision you make, when you feel peace about it after it has happened. And I still stand by it today that I definitely made the right decision. The classes that I've taken in the past year and a half, like almost year and a half now, like they're so practical. I can take all the information and apply it to whatever job I want to, and that's what I love. I didn't want to feel stuck. I want to be able to work wherever I get a job, you know? I'm still figuring out what I want to do right now. It's somewhere in the line of being a digital marketing, social media marketing, content creation, that stuff. I also started my podcast my junior year. It's the second semester of junior year in February of 2020. I started a podcast. I was super excited. So now I have a YouTube channel, I have Instagram, and I have a podcast. So like I said, content creation has been huge in my college career, and it's changed the game because now it's like I'm working towards that as my career. And then of course COVID hit last year, so don't need to talk about that. All I gotta say is 2020, you already know, so we're gonna skip. So that's that. Again, so much happened in my junior year, but the lesson overall for my junior year is, actually I have two. So one is to learn to say no to things, even when it's a good opportunity. Again, like I said, I mentioned it briefly, but I had a lot of good opportunities given to me, and I just said yes because like I don't want to miss out on them. But not every opportunity is a good opportunity, and you don't have to say yes to every one of them. So I'm slowly learning how to say no more than yes to things. Yes is like my default versus no. And then the second lesson that I learned is that change is uncomfortable. We've all witnessed how uncomfortable change can be, but also it can be really necessary. And even though I was scared to change my major, right, change my career track, I am on track for another career that utilizes my gifts and my skills better. And now we're on to senior year, where I am currently. Can't believe it. I feel like the more I say it, the more I want to believe it, but it just has not settled in my heart or my brain. And I don't have a lot for this section just because I'm still like processing it right now. First things first, this is my third year as an RA. So not only was I an RA once, twice, but an RA again my third year. I wasn't expecting to be an RA my third year, but looking back now, I'm grateful that I am, because just the kind of condition that I am finishing my senior year in, I'm grateful for my co-workers, and I'm grateful for my RD, and just for the community that I think I really needed. And I'm grateful that I came back, even though I was reluctant at first. I wasn't sure if I wanted to come back for a third year. And then two, I have an internship. So I've never had an internship before, but I'm grateful that I do. I work as a creative content intern for one of my professors, and so I've been able to work on my graphic design work. I'm still such an amateur at it, but getting a chance to work with him. Okay, my camera died real quick, so I'm gonna finish up this segment real quick to you. I think I've finished talking about my internship, but yeah, it's been a great experience so far. It has really challenged me in terms of trying to make graphic work and work for somebody, make designs and content for somebody that's not myself. And it's been really good so far, so I'm grateful for that. Another bullet point that I have is that I'm processing, and will be processing for a long time, about closing this chapter in my college journey, my college story. Oh man, I just don't know how to properly close this, and there's no proper way to close out the end of something as you transition from one thing from another. Like, graduating from college is a huge thing. It's something not to take lightly, because not everyone has the chance nor the opportunity to be able to graduate college, and I'm grateful that I have the opportunity, and I don't want to take that lightly. And it's such a privilege in that, you know, and to graduate from a school like Belmont University as well, with the majors and the minors that I do have, which I didn't tell you, but I told you in the beginning I have a major and 2 minors, so it's corporate communications, and then I double minoring in education and psychology. So I kept psychology as my second minor because I was super far in the program and didn't make sense to just quit. I was like, let me just go ahead and finish it out. But I'm just trying to I'm trying my hardest to figure out what is the best way for me to reflect and process all that I went through these past couple years and how I want to close out this year. And that's why I have been in and out on YouTube, creating content, taking breaks from social media, because I just like, there's a lot going in my brain, and the last thing I want to think about right now is like creating content. Even though I really do enjoy it, I just like need some time to really reflect, like real and raw reflect, you know, some tears, you know, all that stuff. But yeah, next thing is just like trying to enjoy the moment. You know, again, my senior year does not look like the way I thought it would be. I'm grateful to even just be on campus, you know, with safety precautions for sure. And just trying to spend as much of the time I can as a college student to enjoy, use those college discounts, walk around campus, study some studies at different spaces on campus. I don't know, that was so hard for me to say. Or just simply like spending time with my friends as much as I can, because I'm not gonna get this time back, so I might as well be present and be as present as I can in this chapter. My lesson for senior year, again, is still in development, but what I would say is that if you're a senior right now, or you will be a senior next year, or maybe you have some time before you're a senior, come back and watch this video. It will be here. But to give yourself permission to make room to process things. If you're anything like me, I'm the kind of person who tends to avoid things like this, avoid processing, and I've gotten better through really the role of being an RA. As part of my job is to reflect and process on how I'm growing as an RA, as a student. And if you take a look at yourself and compare yourself who you were as a freshman or who you are just a year ago to who you are right now, you've grown, okay? You evolved, you've changed. And it's important to take that time to celebrate the change and the growth that you've gone through, whether good or bad, uncomfortable but necessary. And I'm going to leave college grateful and without any regrets. So that's where I'm coming from. That's where I'm coming from. I'm incredibly grateful and humbled, but also terrified for the change that's coming. It's very uncertain. I don't do well with uncertainty, but I'm very grateful for my faith that I have somebody who is certain, who doesn't change. God doesn't change day to day, rooting for me on the sidelines, you know, for whatever I'm about to embark on after college, because I graduate at the end of April. Yeah, that was my college story. It feels good to kind of get that out into one space and share that with you. I hope it was encouraging. I hope it also gave you some insight to what college can entail for you, the good, the bad, the ups, the downs, the change that happens. And I want to reiterate what I said in the very beginning, that change will happen, you will evolve, you will make friends with people. There's people that I thought would be my friend who are not my friend today, and that's okay. You will declare a major and then change your mind 2, 3, 4, 5 times. You know, give yourself the permission to experiment and explore during your college years, because this is really like the last safety net that I will have before I go into the adult world. And so when you make mistakes, I would much rather make mistakes now in college before I go out into the real world, because it's ruthless out there. It's not pretty all the time. So very grateful. I'm walking away from college, and we'll be walking away from college very grateful. I hope you enjoyed the format. Let me know if you like the little, you know, what's the word? I hope you like the background scenery. Let me know if you like this whole like podcasty type feel, sit down. I took a poll at the end of 2020 asking what you wanted to see more of, and many of you said more sit down videos, surprisingly. So I got you. That's all I have for you. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know down below, what did you take away from this video? What did you resonate with? Do you have a similar experience? Tell me about your college journey. What year are you in? Let me know. I love seeing comments and commenting back. Have a conversation with me. That's the fun part about creating. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, give it a nice thumbs up. And if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe with the red button down below that says subscribe, so you can see whenever I upload new videos. And while you're at it, go ahead and ring that little bell too, so you get notified exactly when I upload those new videos on my channel. And that is it. Don't forget to stay classy, classy crew, which means cherish life and simply surprise yourself. Bye.